Hey, 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 it's your boy Ken White, host of the Southside Unicorn Show. And today we have a very interesting guest. As you know, it's the midterms. Everybody hit the ground running, and there are people who've thrown their hat into the rings in various elections. The one that the whole world has their eye on is the fifth or fourth largest economy in the world. That would be the great state of California. And today we have as a guest Mr. Lewish HERMS, who has thrown his hat into the ring for the governor of the state of California. We're just going to cut to the chase today, ladies and gentlemen, because we have a lot of questions and a lot of talking to do. So, Mr. HERMS, thank you for coming on the show.
I appreciate being here, Ken. This sounds like it's going to be fun.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. As everyone knows out there, and they're already listening, they love to listen to the guest and hear what's going on. We pull no punches. There's no gotcha questions that are about to happen on the Southside Unicorn Show. Even though, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to let you know, Mr. Herm said, "Bring it on." He takes his questions straight head on. He will not dodge or run from any question. That right there is a good voir dire. Uh, so we'll just start with the basics as we always do, just to warm up into this. Mr. Herms, where were you born?
I was born in Downey, California, 60 years ago.
Out in California. Did you hit the beaches? Did you have the surfboard and all that good stuff?
Yeah, I did a little boogie boarding and windsurfing. My main sports were football and baseball, but I would play football on the beach often.
Wow. So you and I are running in the same timeline. I mean, I'm about, a year or two older than you. 1964, is that your year or is it 1966?
Mine was 65.
65. So you were a child during some of the most tumultuous times of America's civil rights movement.
Oh
But
yeah.
as a young person, now we're talking 1970s, 1980s. You were a young person experiencing some of the changes of the civil rights movement in California. How would you describe California in your years of growing up? Was it on cue with I don't want to use the word progressive, but was it on cue with social norms of today? They say that California did not have any slaves or anything like that. What was your experience with the minority communities growing up?
Yeah, and I think I had a different experience, probably thanks to my father. So, my father actually in Alabama was written up as the White Rosa Parks because what he did is he went to a bus and the only open seats on the bus that were available were in the back of the bus. And so he said, I sat in the back of the bus, and he was a boxer at the time. And the bus driver pulled over and demanded he'd leave, and that's not the place for you. You can't be with them, so on and so forth. He says, I'm not budging. He says, I'm with my brothers and sisters right now. He goes, I don't give a darn about color. Get back to your spot and drive. And they kind of went at it. And even some of the people he was sitting with, they were uncomfortable. They're like, hey man, don't make any waves, just go. And he says no. He goes, you guys don't need to be in the back, but I'm going to hang out with you, and if you want to be in the front, I'll hang out with you up there. And he told the bus driver, he says, I'm going to take care of you if you don't get back and drive. So he drove, and he was written up
Oh
at the
yeah,
White
he's
Rosa
talking to a
Parks.
boxer.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. And then it went on further. He actually had a business in LA during the Watts riots. And one of the only white owned businesses that did not burn down during the riots because black people actually surrounded his business and prevented that from burning down. And it was called, I believe it was called Acorn Industries at the time. He's very proud of these stories because he just stood up for what was right, and he didn't see color. And it was, so I grew up a little differently, having that influence, even though I didn't grow up with my dad directly because my parents were separated. I was a latchkey kid, but every other weekend I would have that influence, and it was awesome. So throughout the 70s and 80s, uh, for me, and I think a lot of children, and this is the truth, Ken, color isn't even part of the makeup. I think I think the difference in races comes in more into play from the adult influences. Naturally, God's children don't look at that, in my opinion. So for me, it was no challenge whatsoever. But I was involved in some of the busing incidents, if you remember that, right? So
Yeah, when the government decided that they wanted to force integration, where kids were bused to schools outside of their own district.
exactly right. So what happened is they would bus inner city, and I went to school in the San Fernando Valley at the time, and they would bus inner city schools into our school. So we had a little bit of that going on, and then what they would intentionally do is they would bus us as our football team, our baseball team, intentionally into inner city schools, and there was a little bit of drama. I mean, we would go in there and bricks were thrown at us and so on and so forth. But I believe that racial divide was a construct of the government.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's my deep belief in that. And even as a child, and I was a teenager at that time, I said it just didn't feel right because we didn't see white, we didn't see black, but then the teachers would make a big deal about it. And the
you
government,
mean the same teachers that are marching these young people out into the streets to protest ICE? Sort of the
it's
same type of mindset.
it's exactly the same, only fast forward 50 years, right? And these influences are put on us artificially. They're manufactured. And because when you can create a divide, you can control a population. And I truly believe without the intentional division, most everybody would get along.
Yeah. I think that's our core belief. And I have to piggyback on what you said about being a young person. I grew up on the south side of Chicago, and my mom worked in Hyde Park. And so I ended up befriending a young white kid, same age as me. And we were just buds. And people kind of recoiled in horror as we kind of put our money together one day and bought one single cheeseburger. And we both enjoyed that cheeseburger. And we were looking at people like, what's wrong with them? But they're looking at one white kid and a black kid noshing down, on the same cheeseburger. But we didn't see color. We didn't really waste our time with that. And I want to join you with that because it seems like that's the heart of most Californians. They don't really get down that way. When you think about some of the candidates on the left, and those are the ones I would like to focus on in this segment, you got Villaraigosa, you got Swalwell, and a whole litany of other strange people. What are your thoughts on them? Who do you think poses the greatest threat to us not taking California back over?
None of them.
Ooh.
Yep, and there's been none of them. Here's why. Number one, because I'm traveling all over. I'm touring all up and down California, and I can tell you, currently in California, there's not an appetite for a Democrat because Gavin Newsom's done a great job at destroying California, and people understand it. As much as they try to distance them from Gavin Newsom, they're directly connected to the Democrat Party right now. So there doesn't seem to be an appetite for that. We have to also, when you talk about constructs, there's a major psyop that's been going on in California for a long time. California is not a blue state. That's fakery. That's false. We've been convinced of that because they need to support the narrative that is controlled by fake elections, and that's what we've been dealing with for all these years. So there's not a truly appetite for a Democrat right now. So I believe that you're going to see a lot of disenfranchised voters either step in and support somebody that's more conservative or independent, or not vote at all, which is their biggest fear. Is they just won't come out to vote because they're so apathetic and they're done with it, right? So I know that the fake polls and the news media will tell you that the Democrats are running hand in hand and they're probably going to end up winning. I
Too
think,
close to call is what we're starting to hear. The
yeah,
old
well, that's the
mantra is
game.
too close to call. Yeah.
They always so the media, which is controlled operation, by the way, even conservative media, it's a controlled operation. So they play this polling game of too close to call. So whatever happens that they already know is going to happen, we accept it. That's the
Well,
game.
I don't.
Well, you're intelligent. and you probably have discernment, and you probably dig
Mhm.
into things, right?
Oh yeah.
That's you're not their target market, Ken. Here
Well, no,
they
they hate me.
they
They ain't
run
feeling me at all.
they run from you. Exactly. So you're not the target market. But the target market are people that are not willing to do the research, use their God-given discernment. So we're breaking through that. We're permeating this. And when I was told to run, and when I say told, I was told by God. When I was told to run for governor, I was told that you're going to be the educator and the disruptor, right? So you're going to disrupt the old system to get people out of that zeitgeist of belief and start educating them on what reality is, what's really going on. And that's why I believe, because of that authenticity, we've been a magnet to our campaign, which is it's pretty exciting to see lately.
Yeah, and that's another reason I'm really grateful you decided to honor us with your presence on the show, because late bloomers can sometimes be the thing. And what I mean by late bloomer is, if I'm not mistaken, what date did you throw your hat into the ring? It was pretty much after everyone else had already gotten running down the track. Am I right?
Yeah, I threw it in the ring on June 2nd, but I didn't get really active for a few months after that.
Okay, okay, because I didn't hear anything, about you until later this year, and so I'm like, Herms, where did he come from? But you can start it now, and I've seen that before. It's a beautiful thing. There's a video of a young girl who fell down on the track, and everybody was running ahead of her. Well, she got back up and she ran hard.
I
She ran.
saw that
Maybe you've
video.
seen that
Oh
video.
yeah, love that video. Love
It
that.
makes me tear up.
Oh, Ken. So my favorite word, my little wife's right here and she knows where I'm going with this. My favorite word is triumph, right? Because triumph means you had to go through some stuff to get to where you are at that moment, right? And that little girl was so triumphant. It was just, I just got the God bumps right now. It's just beautiful to watch that. Yeah, I know
I'm,
exactly what
I'm, I'm,
video.
we're in symphony agreement today, brother. That's why my beginning question with you, that was divinely inspired. I did no research on that. I was told to ask you that you might speak to the people and tell them where you come from when it comes to race relations, so forth and so on. This is getting really good, but it's time to put some chips in the house. So we have to take a station break. We'll be right back after these messages. Go nowhere.
Step one, train the people only to consume. Step two, infiltrate adults with the news. Step three, indoctrinate the children through the schools and the music and the apps on the phones that they use. Step four, separate the right from the left. Step five, separate the white from the black. Step six, separate the rich from the poor. Use religion and equality to separate them more. Step seven, fabricate a problem, made a lie. Step eight, put it on the news every night. Step nine, when people start to fight and divide, take control. This is called situational design.
When I see a new broadcast from the Southside Unicorn, I can't wait to listen to it. You just never know what he's going to say.
You are listening to the Southside Unicorn Show, hosted by my friend, Ken White. He'll be back after these messages.
Hey, 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 it's your boy Ken White, host of the Southside Unicorn Show, and we are in the second segment of a very, very interesting interview. Mr. Herms is being very open, very candid. He is taking shots and questions that I can already guarantee you some people would have politicized, if that's a word. Let me see if I can make that a word. They would have politicized their way out of those questions. They would have given you some canned answer of we're all one people and we're all one nation, but they would not have answered it the way Mr. Herms just did. Now, we're going to get down into it a little bit. Um, Today is Monday, the 2nd of March, and it would appear that over the weekend, Israel and America, and I say Israel first because I believe they kind of pulled us there, but Israel and America have begun attacks on Iran. Some people have one opinion about it. Some people have another opinion about it. Uh, the young Jasmine Crockett, female and black, seems to be opposed to the fact that this action is going on in Iran, which is actually by the people themselves saying it, liberating over 80 million people who said they were under captivity. It's an international issue, so we won't stay on it very long. But Mr. Herms, what are your thoughts about what's going on right now?
Well, it's I have a deep history actually with the information in Iran because my father, see, I'm a Christian, but my father was a Baha'i, if anybody's familiar with that.
I
And
broke up a little bit. Could you say it again, sir?
I said I'm a Christian, but my father was a Baha'i. Baha'i is a religion, which, by the way, was very popular in Iran before the persecution. They did mass genocide on Baha'is in Iran. So, and I've had friends that were Persian. So the information that we hear is sometimes different. I've known for a long, long time that the people of Iran were oppressed and they wanted to take their country back and have tried several times, and they were killed and shot down. So when President Trump does some actions, I always look a little deeper into it than I would another president because there's generally something else going on there. So what I recognized here is when he immediately they killed the main leader and probably 40 other leaders, right? And he called, and this is what's most important. He called the Iranian people to step up and take their country back. He did not go that we're going to go put boots on the ground and we're going to do this. He said, you need to take your country back. Many people don't know this, but on January 20th, 2017, when he was inaugurated, he did the exact same thing to we the people. He
Yes.
with a military contingent behind him, he said, we are giving it back to the people. I believe we dropped the ball. I believe now we're starting to pick up the ball and we the people are activating because we're the true plan. So I see this a little different. Now, why this is difficult for me is because my trigger response, if I'm going to be honest, is no more wars. We don't want wars. Let's not be killing our American troops. Why are we going into these places? That's my trigger
And the left,
response.
and right, and the left is already mocking him with, "Well, I thought you said there were going to be no more
Exactly.
wars." How infantile!
Exactly. But this is a much deeper. I believe this is absolutely about saving the Iranian people and giving them an opportunity for independence, not just the fact that we're also getting rid of a nuclear threat. A lot of people don't understand, too. Several months ago, Iran publicly declared war on the United States.
Well, yeah, I remember that. You're
You
right.
remember that? A lot of people, for some reason, are that they that
Well, it
disappears from
seems
their
to have
brain.
escaped the Democrat Congress. It seems that they don't want to get on board with that. But you are absolutely right, Mr. Herms. They made a declaration of war, so any response from us under all international law would be
It's
okey doke
appropriate.
with Jake, right?
That's right. Exactly right. So it's fully appropriate. I don't ever like to see the loss of life. I have we have two Marines, one airman. So I understand the sacrifices of our nation better than most do. But I this one is a little bit different. The and it's amazing that you have the left out supporting Iran. So what the left is doing, and this is why I have to communicate like this to them. The left is openly calling to support Iran suppressing women and taking away all of women's rights. I just want to be very clear on that. That's what you're saying, left. So maybe we should rethink this since they're celebrating in the streets in Iran right now and doing everything they can to take back their country so they can have freedom. Now, if you go back 47 years, a lot of people don't know that a hijab was rarely worn in Iran and Tehran, and the women were free. They were wearing jeans and enjoying the sun and out freely. That is can completely change under the Ayatollah and this tyrannical regime. So let's wait and see. But I think this is going to be a great thing when the people take back their own country. But they're going to have to stand up and do that.
I did my little research on Iran, and it appears that from 1978 down, Iran was a very cosmopolitan nation. People used to fly there just to get their party on, and that says a lot. That made it the spot. I misspoke in an interview this weekend with an Iranian American who was on the show. I said that the Shah of Iran was assassinated. It was later corrected that he was exiled, and in exile he did die. Um, to see a young Jasmine Crockett, the sister girl that is supposed to be all about freedom and all about women, having their rights, my body, my choice.
Mhm.
Doesn't this fly in the face of reason or logic that she would rail against President Trump's actions?
Can you explain to me when the Democratic Party has been logical in the last 40 years?
No, I can't.
I just haven't seen it. It's everything is not symbiotic whatsoever. Their messages are counter. So the messages always have one take to it: drive everybody in a direction that they can be controlled. That's really what it has. Whatever benefits the Democrat Party. Now, I'm not a fan of the Republican Party because I think that's been a captured operation, especially the California GOP, for a long, long time. I think they're
Something
pretending to
very
be.
strange about the CAGOP, but hey.
Yep. So, I mean, it doesn't appear like they want to win an election. They raise more money when they lose. They're going to be accountable if they win an election. And the way they work with inside the politicians running is scandalous in itself. So, I'm not a party choice guy. That's not me. In fact, if you go back to the founding fathers, those are my dudes right there. So the founding fathers, you have George Washington, John Adams, James Madison, all indicated that a two-party system would be the death of America. And Thomas Jefferson went so far to claim that if he had to choose between heaven above or two parties, he's probably not going to heaven. I mean,
Well, the binary system has its errors and flaws, but when you say that and you're running under the Republican ticket yourself,
I'm not though.
I'm whoa.
No,
Then
I'm
educated
an
brothers,
NPP.
educated brothers.
Yep, I'm an NPP. I'm a non-political preference.
Is that right?
Yep, I have to be
Wow.
honest. Now, I'm more conservative than the
Hmm.
Republicans running, right? But I won't play into the game. That's inauthentic. That's not godly to me. I will not.
See, watch this. Let me, and you don't make the show about yourself, so I'm not doing that. But I'm bringing this in as a point. I have been a loyal Republican for
Yep.
51 years. I declared myself a Republican on the south side of Chicago at age 10. And boy, let me tell you how hard that was.
Oh,
But
wow.
now here I am 51 years later, and I'll be, open with my audience too, because I'm sure a lot of my fans are wondering what's going on with Kenny. There's a transformation going on with Kenny. I won't use the old saying I didn't leave my party. My party left me. I won't say that right now, but I'm about to sound a lot like Mr. Herms, which is I am a man of God. I have conservative values, but I understand that just like my man Lot, which most people don't want to get into that. But do you think Lot really stayed in Sodom and Gomorrah and they didn't hand him his butt if he wasn't able to work with them and coexist with them? We keep getting this religious thing all twisted.
Oh, yeah.
That man didn't stay in Sodom and Gomorrah and they not just wipe him out. He learned how to coexist with people while not sacrificing his values. How do we know? Because God regarded him so that he sent angels to warn him. So he was still okey doke with God while being inside Sodom and Gomorrah.
Mhm.
Well, this is the modern day Sodom and Gomorrah. And when I see what some of these Republicans are saying, no immigration at all. And he kneeled with BLM and those black folks. You're looking pretty stupid to me. And so I'm sort of coming your way, sir, in the fact that my values are still intact, but I don't know how much longer I'm going to continue to call myself a Republican. How many people do you think feel that way right now?
Oh, I think there's a huge drive. In fact, I've been told as of probably this month that for the first time in California, at least, that the NPP independent section of the parties will outpace the Republicans by about a 0.5% for the first time ever. And I can tell you, Republicans are in force, and Democrats moving into. They're like, I'm done with the system, because we have to think about the Republican value set, the ones they put on their page. I align with all of them, virtually all of them, lock, stock, and barrel. But to me, the fruits of your labor are more important than what you say. So they can talk about it all day long, but if their actions don't show it. So I've learned, and by the way, I've been a Republican for 30 some years, right? So
You got you beat.
yeah, you got me beat. But the biggest challenge I say is if you're not living up to your principles. So I just started to study the past, and I love studying about the founding fathers and the construct of our republic, and it's just glorious. And I think they figured it out way before us.
That's because they actually dealt with fresh tyranny. They had tyranny fresh on their clothes. But I want to hear more about that, sir. And it sounds like it's going to be really interesting. But you know what time it is.
I
It's
know.
time for us to take a station break. We'll be right back after these messages, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to start drilling down into some policies and waxing nostalgic about our founding fathers, because it seems like Mr. Hearns has rooted his ideology in that frame. So we'll touch on those when we come back. We'll be right back after these messages. Go nowhere.
Hey, my name is Toot Sweet, and I'm New York City's original artist, singing for the cause of freedom. I've spent the last 10 years of my life documenting history through my music. It's like a recipe that's blessing me, bringing out the best of me, aggressively testing me to create my own destiny and understanding, universally accepting adversity and learn more lessons in life than you'll learn in any. And when I'm in need of a dose of reality to escape the liberal land of make-believe, I tune in to the Southside Unicorn, where the truth is as solid as New York City concrete. My name is Toot Sweet, and you're listening to my friend Ken White on the Southside Unicorn, and this party is just getting started.
Hey, Ken White here, host of the Southside Unicorn Show. If you're enjoying what you're hearing, reading, or seeing, won't you support the show? You can do that in two different ways. You can buy merch or do a straight donation. To buy merch, go to www.thesouthsideunicornshow.com. To make a donation of any denomination, use the Cash App. Our account number is the $SSUS44. And thank you very much. Hey, listen to me. There's no place I'd rather be. There's nothing more I'd rather do than being right here doing this show for you.
Yes, sir.
What's your name, boy?
Mayo. Zach Mayo, sir.
How did you slip into this program? I didn't know the Navy was so hard up.
You got an injury there, Mayo? Not exactly, sir.
Hey, this is really wonderful work. Where'd you get this, Mayo?
Subic Base, Philippines, sir.
Ah, ought to recognize the work. Be proud of them wings. They're the only ones you're gonna leave here with. Mayonnaise.
When I see a new broadcast from the Southside Unicorn, I can't wait to listen to it. You just never know what he's going to say.
You are listening to the Southside Unicorn Show, hosted by my friend, Ken White. He'll be back after these messages.
You were warned. You were told. you are begged not to wake up Gen X. Well, congratulations. We're awake now.
Hey, it's your boy Ken White, host of the Southside Unicorn Show. And as you know by now, we have Mr. Herms on as a guest, a gubernatorial candidate for the state of California. He's thrown his hat in the ring and he's serious about it. It's a very interesting note that he's not really a Republican. He's definitely not a Democrat, but he's not really a Republican. And so, with that being the guiding point of this segment, I want to ask him the questions about his policies. Mr. Herms, you win the election. First of all, I want to ask you, are you going to live at the governor's mansion or are you going to do something different?
I have no idea. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to have to debug the mansion from to even consider living in the governor's mansion. I would rather not spend a lot more money of we the people's money, so I might just have to live there with my beautiful wife. But we'll have to see what's going on inside of that place first.
Well, when you say debug, I'm sorry, I have two visions here.
Me
I
too.
see the electronic bugs, but then I'm thinking bugs.
Me too.
This guy, this Gavin Newsom. I call him a warlock because when I look at him with my discerning eye, he's a male witch. He's
Agreed.
a male witch.
Agreed. Actually,
he's a warlock. And that's why some of these people are spellbound by him, that he can do some of the most, no pun intended, he can do some of the most god-awful stuff. And yet everybody is just, oh, Gavin Newsom, he's the next president. You're under a spell, ladies and gentlemen. So, as spiritual realm power says, if you call a witch out in public, they lose some of their power. So on this show, the Southside Unicorn Show, I'm going to do it. Gavin Newsom is a warlock. You have been called out, and the Holy Spirit shall bind you in Jesus' name. So now, it's you're in the governor's mansion, and it's day one. What's the first thing you're going to do?
well, I think it's very important that we understand the construct of California is run on what I call WARF, waste, abuse, redundancy, and fraud. So we're not run on good ethical principles. We're run on those four pillars, unfortunately. So we're going to go in and we're going to do a hyper forensic audit of the complete budget. And I believe, and I said this for several years, but I specifically said, I believe it was last February, 2025, that probably 75% of the budget is waste, abuse, redundancy, and fraud. I was called crazy a year ago, Ken, and now people are coming to me daily, texting on my social media going, looks like you were right, Lewis. Looks like it's 75%. So let's imagine.
I got to get in on that real quick. Let me get in on that real quick. On the Southside Unicorn Show, when I post things, they call me crazy right off the bat. Oh, that's crazy. That'll never happen. And why are you on the air? And you have no credibility. And the sad part is they don't come back and say, oops.
Oh,
somehow,
yeah.
You know what I mean? They never come back, right? They don't come back and say, I was wrong. I had you dead wrong. You were spot on. So you and me, we're symphony on that one, brother.
Yeah, their ego won't let them do that. So imagine that by crazy chance, I may be right about the 75%. So when you eliminate that 75%, now suddenly California goes into virtual bankruptcy to a surplus immediately. Now what we could do is we can just spend all that money like the Marxist left has been doing for a long time and just waste it and go back to stealing it. Or what if we do something crazy like we say, hey, now we don't need property taxes, which, by the way, are illegal anyways. And I'm not talking about these games some of the politicians are out there saying, hey, if you pay off your complete mortgage, then you don't have any more property taxes. Come on. It's hard for people to do that, right? So that's a very select few. No.
Unless you win the lottery or something,
Exactly. So no property taxes. Sorry, doesn't exist. You don't need it. Guess what? You don't need income taxes either. Because you can run just based on what the feds alone give you and any sales taxes that you already bring in. We may not even need sales taxes, but that's a whole nother story. But right now,
because when you say that, every Democrat politician in Sacramento is going, oh no, we need the people's money. We got to have all of the people's money. So
Right.
that's going to be an uphill battle right there. But it sounds to me, and I want to go back to when you said the war for waste, abuse, redundancy, and fraud. That's a pretty cool acronym. I won't forget that. That sounds a lot like another acronym, Doge. Are you going to Doge California?
Yep, Super Doge is what I've called it. I've called it Super Doge. Now, there's other politicians that are now calling it California Doge, but if anybody goes back in the timeline, a lot of politicians are just stealing our stuff because we had the courage to actually put the solutions on our website a year ago, right? Because we're not going to run from anything. What they haven't realized, Ken, I guess they're not too bright, is that all those things are time and date stamped. So soon we're going to just show everybody what they've done. So it's just, I don't.
So I guess the logic to that one good, and please forgive me for the interjections. I do it for the audience. So I guess the takeaway from that is why vote for them when all they're doing is stealing from you?
Well, do you want to vote for a follower or a leader? Do you
There
want
it
to
is.
vote for a thief or somebody that comes up with the solutions? It's pretty easy. Now, I understand where we have to go for who's that name, who's the most popular, who has the most money, right? One day, and I think the time is now, we have to step out of that matrix. And we, the people, need to take governorship, governing back from the elites that have been running things for a long time. I have no interest in being governor. What? No, I have interest in being guardian for the people. So you task me, Ken. You say, Lewis, you are my employee. This is what I need from you. And then I will do my best for we the people we possibly can. Right?
So now that brings me to a question that just came into me when you said that. What I've seen, and please don't take this as a slight or anything because it's not. It's a genuine question. I've seen people they say the right things, they do the right things up to the election, and gosh darn it, they win. Give it a year or two, you don't even recognize that person no more, and somebody's trying to fashion a recall against them. Do you have anything in your history that would show that when given power, you haven't changed your views or flip flopped?
No, that's a fantastic question. The nice thing is I actually have history of doing things. So when I ran something called the Truth Tours. I did 117 cities in about 2.5 years. I believe we hit 48 states, if I remember correctly, and we always came up with solutions. So we had a solution. Here's how you can go after the school boards properly. Here's how you can go after the board of supervisors. I did an amazing documentary called Cages on child trafficking. I literally, when Hurricane Helene came down, me and my team stopped our tour, right, and we ended up going and helping in Tampa, and then when they let us in, we helped in North Carolina, where we got dogs, cadaver dogs, and we're digging in the dirt with our hands looking for cadavers. It's always been about the work. My wife and I lost a $2.5 million business because I decided to speak up and tell the truth years ago. So
Wow.
we're always willing, way before the election, to put our money where our mouth is and sacrifice. And frankly, I wouldn't be in this election if I didn't ask God a question. So what happened is, because I have a very large social
Well,
media.
what was that question you asked God?
Well,
I don't want to miss that.
no, I'm going to get to that. So I have a very large
Yeah.
social media influence. So I
Hmm.
I, I wanted to know who I would be able to support in the upcoming gubernatorial election. So I intentionally didn't look at the Democrats because that's a captured operation, right? So I
Yeah,
looked.
that's a hard no. Yeah.
Yeah, so I looked at some independents and all the Republicans. And what I was not seeing, and this really got to me, is I was not seeing them talk about the parasites that have been controlling things for a long time. I didn't see people talking about what I call the medical mafia that has been trying to control our body and doing nefarious things to them. I didn't see them talking about Maha principles, which I love and I'm deeply involved in. And I definitely didn't see them exposing child sex trafficking and have a plan to curb that or get rid of it altogether. So the question I said is, I go, okay, God, what do I do now? And I thought for sure, Ken, the answer was, Lewis, you go make another documentary, tour up and down California, educate people on what's really going on. That's not the answer I got. The answer is you're running for governor. And frankly, I argued. I said, "Oh no, Lord, I'm not running." And then people go, "How dare you argue with the God?" I go, "Well, my God's okay with that because He put me straight, anyways."
Oh
so,
yeah, he has a funny way of doing that, right?
so he said, "No, this is what you're doing. Pay attention. You take responsibility for this. Take ownership for this." And I go, "What's that look like?" Said, "You're going to start as the disruptor and the educator, and then you're going to get a lot of traction." And I don't even know the outcome, but I didn't ask God for the outcome because the journey is more important. So I just walked through the fog on what God Almighty tells me. So that was the question. The answer was a surprise, though.
Wow. I can share with you on that, and in symphony agreement, I say, bless the name of Jesus Christ and the Holy Lord that He would meet you with that message. I wouldn't be behind this mic right now if it weren't for the Lord doing something very similar to me. This was not my wheelhouse. And I'll say his name because I love him and I miss you. I got your number back, so I'll call you. Phil Naiman. Phil Naiman actually opened up the door for me to sit behind a mic, and it was on the heels of a vision that the Lord God did show me. He said, Kenny, I need you to open your mouth. But God, I don't do that kind of stuff. And I've been punched in the mouth, and I'm a warrior. And so my grill's not necessarily movie star stuff and all that. And so I'm like, God, pick somebody else. I don't do that. And he was like, who would you rather, please, the people or me? I'm like, ah, okay. So I agreed to it. Totally forgot that I agreed to it. And then on one particular day, I ran into a gentleman named Phil Naiman. Phil Naiman looked at me, he listened to me, and he said, I need you to be in this office at this time on Monday morning. It was a radio studio. And when he said, sit down, because he was going to bring me on the show, this is what the connector was. He said, when we come back from break, I need you to open your mouth. We had never met before that day. And when he said, Kenny, I need you to open your mouth, it literally became Alpha and Omega in my heart. And thus the Southside Unicorn Show was born. With that origin story from both of us following the Lord God in our different areas as the drum beat leads us, that leads us to a station break as well. We'll be right back after these messages. Go nowhere.
When I see a new broadcast from the Southside Unicorn, I can't wait to listen to it. You just never know what he's going to say.
You are listening to the Southside Unicorn Show, hosted by my friend, Ken White. He'll be back after these messages.
Hey, it's your boy Ken White, host of the Southside Unicorn Show, and we are back for the fourth and final segment of a very nice interview with Mr. HERMS. I have learned a lot today. I hope you have. That's why the candidates should be heard not in bottles, not in cap stands, but let the candidates speak. I'm honored and proud to be able to bring you such a platform, such a show as this, where, as you noticed, Mr. HERMS did most of the talking. I'm listening just like you. And I'm sure we have a lot of questions. Those questions, put them in the comment section. Click like and share this because, again, as Mr. HERMS intimated, we need to get money out of politics. How do you think back in the day this nation was founded, sustained, and protected? Nobody had Google. Nobody had the internet. They had men and women, some sewing flags, some carrying secret messages at night, some on horseback going, the British are coming, the British are coming. That was our Wi-Fi. That was somebody on a horse sweating just as much as the horse and getting the word out. Ladies and gentlemen, that's you. That's we, the people. So take this message, take all the messages and begin to do the legwork. Take the money out of it because the minute you take the money out of it, these oligarchies, whichever one you want to call it, they will lose their power over us. For after all, as Mr. HERMS has tried to point out, this whole game is all about you, and taking power away from you. Speaking of that, Mr. Herms, and it came to me while I was saying that, California, Sacramento, the government of California is the epitome of an oligarch. These people up there, I think there's barely, and help me if I'm wrong, there's a small amount of people governing the state of California, and our numbers are as high as 90 million people. Am I right?
Yeah, well, I don't know about the numbers. I think it may be closer to 40 million, but regardless, it doesn't matter. The small amount of people are creating all the turmoil within inside of California. And I can actually tie this back to the founding fathers. So the founding fathers were motivated by becoming sovereign from the crown. That's what motivated them. They understood it was a tyrannical regime. It wasn't just about taxes. It was about the crown control, and they understood how beautiful it would be to be sovereign. So they created some amazing format for us to follow with the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, so on and so forth. And what I thought is fascinating, if you really study the founding fathers and how we can correlate this to California, what they decided is there's some core belief systems that they agreed upon. So although they had some vehement disagreement, they understood what was paramount is the core principles that they agreed upon. So I would shock people when I say Democrats and Republicans agree on 85%, but it's the 15% that everybody focuses on, and that's what keeps us at each other's throats, right? Let's focus on the 85%. So they focused on the 85%. And they got the job done. And they used Christian principles. People hate to hear that, but they used Christian principles to found our government. And the laws were Christian laws that they infused into everything. What that did is it set us up for success, but it also set us up to be the number one target for the devil, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, because I look at it this way: if you're not under attack, you're not doing something right. And so when we who dare to call ourselves believers find ourselves under attack, you're doing something right. I had to pray with the Lord just a few days ago because I was thinking about some of the things that have happened in my own personal life. And I did say, God, come on, what is this? Why are people lying on me, trying to hold me back, yada, yada, yada? Why are they doing this? And he said, Kenny, do you love me? I'm like, yes, I do. And then he showed me. He said, "Look at what they did to me. They spat on him. They cursed him. And so we who walk side by side with him, carrying our own cross, don't get mad when you get a little spit on you. Okay?
Yeah,
I mean,
you're
that
right.
just means you're in the right place."
It should be expected, actually. So the founding fathers did it right. Now, then, so what have the demons and the Marxists have done for the last 200 some years is they've gone and they've tried to diminish, attack, reduce, change all of them, a wonderful construct that we could live under if we were truly free, which we're not today. Well, in 1849, they created something called the California Constitution. And that was subjugated within 2 years, where they started to really go after that again and change it. By the way, if anybody reads the original California Constitution, it is by far the best constitution out of all of them when it comes to giving the power to the people. So I
So
believe
wait a minute. Let me keep up with you for a minute. We have our national constitution.
that's right.
In the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one nation, so forth and so on. And you're saying that there's a subset, which is the California Constitution, and that it was spiritually and conservatively drawn?
Yes, in 1849, and is absolutely beautiful, and it gives the power to the people. It gives you inalienable rights. I believe there's 22 rights right at the beginning of it, just like our national constitution is. It is a beautiful document, but it's been reinterpreted and changed, I think, over 500 times. Now, why would they do that? They would do that because
Water it down.
exactly because it's an amazing document that sets us up for success. And I really believe that California is the actual golden prize for the good people and the cabal. I truly believe that where California goes, everything else is going to follow. So it would make sense, like Christ, that California would be under the most attack, because it is the absolute best place to live, I believe, in the world. So,
I'd have to agree with you on that. I moved here in 1986, and I thought I had found paradise, to be honest. In the beginning days when I first moved here, this place was magical. And then it slowly turned into the world of Gavin Newsom.
yeah, yeah. So what happens is, and I was just talking with my team and my wife about this. So my wife and I and our team, we've traveled all over the world, right? But
Mm-hmm.
specifically, if you just take the United States, you can drive up and down California, and you can find everything that you find in the United States. Everything. We were driving through someplace in Northern California. We're like, wow, that looks just like Ireland, and this looks like North Carolina. That looks like Virginia. This looks like Texas, and it's amazing to me. The only thing California doesn't have, I wish we did, is warm ocean water. Other than that, we've got it all. But the point is, if it is the grand prize, right? We have to understand that this is where the war is, the spiritual war, the good versus evil. And for people to think right now that we're not in a spiritual war, they have an awakening coming, because that's exactly what we are dealing with today.
So, having heard you say that, earlier in the show, you basically said that, and pardon me, I got to calm down. This is a very good interview, and thank you for coming on the show. You basically said that Democrats are a non-starter, that this is not their election. So does that mean that this is the Republicans' election to lose?
I think it's the conservatives' election to lose. Intentionally didn't choose a party preference, because I believe in putting the people first. Policy before party, always. And I believe
You sound like Senator John Fetterman, who, and I say John Fetterman, who knew he would turn out to be the better man. Uh,
it's crazy,
you
right?
sound like
I would have. That was not on my bingo card, my friend.
Yeah, but you know what? Someone may be working with him too.
Exactly right.
Because he has the voice of reason in him anymore, and you sound the same way. That if you and he were, you being the governor of the state of California and he being a Democrat senator, somehow I think the two of you could come up with some pretty good stuff.
Yeah, well, because it does. Only thing that matters is what's the end result for the people in California. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's simple. When you, and I've said this for years, and it really seems to get traction. I say, if it's simple, it's God's work. If it's complicated, probably something else is going on.
A friend of mine, because I lamented to him how things are going, and he said, Kenny, we can see that the Lord wants you to be where you are. So you need to relax and pray and understand this. If it's his will, it's his bill. And so, yeah, I agree with you. Wow, that's so funny. I had that conversation last night. So now I'm about to pay my DMV fees for my car. Had to renew my driver's license, right? Got to go get some smog and all of that. You're the governor of the state of California. What's happening with me and my DMV?
Why do you have DMV fees? Why should they even exist? It doesn't even make sense for me, right? We have government services for other things, but suddenly you have to charge people for getting the license, whatever. Okay, maybe $15, whatever it is. You know what I mean? But this exorbitant DMV fees it's just
nuts.
Another way of theft. It's taxation without representation, right? That's what it is. People don't want to call it what it is. It's a tax. Here's where I think we're going to go, and this is going to be fun. Do you remember 2 years ago when SCOTUS, the Supreme Court, overturned the Chevron deference decision? That is the biggest thing that's happened in the last 40 years in regards to SCOTUS. So the Chevron deference in the 80s, the idea was, instead of the legislator having to vote for fines, fees, and taxes, they gave the authority over to NGOs, bureaucrats, and non-elected officials. Suddenly, we're taxed and feed for everything. SCOTUS overturned that. They said that is illegal. That's not the way it's supposed to be. The challenge.
So why are we still getting jacked up?
Exactly what I was going to say. The challenge, what happens many times, this is where I say we the people are a little bit slow to move forward. All we have to do is get an affirmation on that. What that means is we just have to challenge something and bring it to SCOTUS and say, this should not be a fee under the Chevron deference reversal, and they will affirm it. Then they all go away. So I've been screaming at the top of my lungs for somebody to do that. I hear some people are going to do that, but sooner than later would be good, because they set us up for success a few years ago, which is nice. We just haven't taken the ball.
Oh my goodness! So it sounds like if you come in, you're gonna basically free the people. Speaking of free the people, and I know we're running out of time here. I loved your opening story that you were raised by a man that didn't deal with color and that he was a fighter. Just in the same framework as the founding fathers, they were not poop butts. They were strong, courageous men, and they stood up for what was right. Your father, the same way. You said he owned a business that could have been named Acorn. Well, no pun intended. It looks like the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree. You're made in the same regard. Um, Having said that and recognizing that race is really not an issue in your paradigm, what is your take on this reparations idea that Gavin Newsom and the Democrats keep dangling like a carrot on a stick before the black people to garner that vote? Is that something you want to talk about? What is your take on that?
Yeah, I don't run from any questions. So, I believe it's exactly what you said. And what the Democrats has been very good at for several decades is making promises to purchase votes. That's in essence what they're doing. They're trying to buy votes. And so I use this often. My wife is Mexican, right? And she's a hairdresser. And she's had people in her chair saying, "Oh, well, we need to give you this and give you this." And she says to them, "Are you racist?" And they say, well, what do you mean? Oh, you don't think I can make it on my own? You don't think I have the capability? You don't think I can read? You don't think I can get my own ID? You don't think I can go to vote and find my way to a voting poll? She says, that's racism. And that's what's going on. So we've pretended that a person of color doesn't have the same ability as a white person, which is the most degenerative way that you could speak to somebody.
let me get this in there. And we assume that black people have low SAT scores too. Let's not forget that.
Which is just it's crazy talk. If you want anybody to be the best they can be, you empower them. You do not enable them, right?
Exactly.
And that's it. And the construct is set up for a reason. Is I believe there is a suppression of blacks in the inner city, but I think it's from the Democrats intentionally so they can be controlled. So when they want to use them, they're going to grab that vote because they want to keep that check. Sorry.
Exactly.
I believe.
And then you wake up with nothing. That's. And I got to jump in there on this real quick. I grew up on the south side of Chicago. My mother and her sister barely lived one block apart from each other their entire lives. But every election, here comes the alderman, Sister Dolores, Sister Janet. I need y'all to get out there and get me some votes now. And if you get me them votes, well, I can get you a better apartment. You guys are going to be living good. Just trust me. I watched my mother and her sister slave at the polls. I watched them do all kind of stuff and sit in the kitchen talking about how times were going to get better. Mm-hmm. Alderman wins and you don't see him no more. Well, I'm really busy right now, Sister White. I'll catch up with you in a little bit, but I'm going to sure get through there. That's after he won. Nah, I ain't buying it. I see it with my own two eyes.
Yeah. And is it better to give somebody a fish or teach them how to fish?
Give me a nice pole, and I'd like for it to be
right. Because it crosses all color barriers. When people work hard something, and you and I talked about the word triumph, and you have a success from that, the empowering feeling and the confidence that builds in somebody is unmeasurable. So when we play these games and pretend that people are less than by saying that you're more than, which is double demon talk in my impression, it's ridiculous. Everybody needs to be empowered to be the best they can be. Now, is some situations harder than others? Yeah, I'll take the lotto. You know what? Money is being stolen from the schools in the inner cities because of the lotto. A lot of people don't understand that the people that purchase the most lotto tickets, dollar for dollar, are inner city. But guess what? When they divide that money up, they divide it up by population. So a rich school gets exactly the same amount of money that an inner city does. So it's just ridiculous.
Watch this. You are such an engaging guest. We got a lot covered. We seem to have our minds cemented on candidates for the gubernatorial race of the state of California. But having spoken with you, which is what all voters, registered voters, should do, listen to the candidates, talk to the candidates, not just sound bites, talk to. And I want to thank you for allowing us the opportunity to talk with you, Mr. Herms. Wow. We the people seems to be a marching mantra for you. You're a man of God. I don't see anything or hear anything in you that says that otherwise. Are there any parting words you'd like to have for the audience? How does someone get in touch with your campaign if they would like to help you?
First, I'd like to let everybody know, no matter how bleak it is, this is God's journey. This is not ours. So the destination is going to be, it will be glorious. So keep your heads up, keep your faith in whatever is going on. We're going to get there. This is an amazing spiritual war, and I believe the good guys are taking back everything right now. That being said, if you want to follow my campaign, I'd love you to go to hermsforcali.com. That's HERMSFORCALI.com. And hopefully you can see me somewhere. Hey, Kenny, maybe you and I can go do something in the Redlands together and make a difference.
You know, that would be great. I'm going to talk to Greg Brittain. He's the president of the Redlands Tea Party Association. Let's see if we can't get an invite for you to come down and speak to the people there.
Love to. Appreciate you.
Outstanding. Hey, listen to me. There's no place I'd rather be. There's nothing more I'd rather do than being right here doing this show for you. I'm Ken White, host of the Southside Unicorn Show. I'm here with Mr. Herms, a candidate for the state of California gubernatorial race, and we are